War is entering a new phase. Not faster jets, not bigger tanks, not longer range missiles, smarter machines. Autonomous systems are no longer experimental. They are operational, and they are changing the speed of warfare itself. War is about to move faster than humans can think. Not faster jets, not longer range missiles, faster decisions. For centuries, battle depended on human tempo. Observe, orient, decide, act. Now machines observe, machines orient, machines decide, machines act. And they do it in milliseconds. But here's where it gets dangerous. The military that adapts to machine speed warfare first will dominate. The military that doesn't will be reacting, not deciding. And reaction loses wars. Most militaries still organize around platforms. Aircraft carriers, fighter jets, main battle tanks, destroyers. Each expensive, each exquisite, each dependent on human operators. Autonomous systems flip that model. They are scalable, expendable, replicable. Instead of protecting a single $100 million asset, you deploy 5,000 semi-autonomous systems. Instead of guarding pilots, you saturate airspace. Instead of preserving hardware, you overwhelm defenses. And this is what most analysts underestimate. Autonomy is not just a new weapon. It is a new philosophy of force design. Mass over perfection, iteration over durability, scale over singular dominance. And when philosophy changes, doctrine follows. This is not the first disruption in military history. Cavalry believed it would dominate forever. Then machine guns shredded charges in World War I. Battleships ruled the oceans. Then aircraft carriers redefined naval power in World War II. Heavy armor symbolized dominance. Then precision-guided munitions and air power exposed vulnerability. Every time a dominant platform seemed untouchable, a new system changed the equation. Autonomy is that shift. But here's the part that changes everything. Previous revolutions changed lethality. Autonomy changes tempo. And tempo decides initiative. Human command systems are layered. Reports move up, approval moves down. Coordination takes time. Autonomous systems collapse that ladder. Sensor detects, algorithm classifies, target engaged. Milliseconds. If your adversary compresses the kill chain, and you don't, you are operating in two different wars. And this is what most institutions resist admitting. Ethical hesitation becomes tactical delay. Layered oversight becomes vulnerability. In machine speed conflict, 5 seconds is strategic time. And 5 seconds is an eternity for AI. Let's stop speaking abstractly, model it. If conflict erupts in the Taiwan Strait, most civilians imagine missile salvos and naval fleets. That may come, but it may not begin there. Phase 1 could look like this. Persistent drone reconnaissance mapping radar emissions. Autonomous underwater vehicles mapping submarine routes. Unmanned surface vessels testing reaction times. Electronic warfare bots probing command networks. Cyber intrusion targeting logistics systems. No declaration, no massed fleet movement. Just incremental algorithmic pressure. Then swarm saturation. Hundreds of loitering munitions targeting air defense nodes simultaneously. Thousands of low-cost drones forcing radar exposure. Autonomous decoys overwhelming missile inventories. The objective would not be immediate invasion. It would be degradation. Degrade sensors, degrade command networks, degrade political confidence. And here's where it gets dangerous. Escalation speed increases when machines operate inside targeting loops. If identification and engagement are automated, human political leadership may be informed after actions begin. That compresses crisis management. That increases miscalculation risk. That narrows diplomatic off-ramps. Autonomy does not just change battlefield lethality. It changes strategic stability, economic disruption. Autonomy also attacks the cost equation. Traditional military dominance favors wealthy nations. Aircraft carriers cost billions. Fifth-generation fighters cost hundreds of millions. Autonomous systems shift advantage toward iteration. A smaller power can build thousands of drones. Non-state actors can weaponize commercial platforms. Artificial intelligence tools are globally distributed. The barrier to entry drops. But here's the uncomfortable reality. Scale defeats elegance. You build one exquisite platform. Your adversary builds 10,000 acceptable ones. Saturation wins, and saturation favors autonomy. Institutional lag. Now let's address the real vulnerability. Procurement cycles. Traditional military acquisition can take a decade, sometimes two. Autonomous software evolves in months. If your force modernization takes 15 years, and your adversary updates algorithms every 6 weeks, you are not competing on the same timeline. And this is where institutions fail. They treat autonomy like hardware. It behaves like software. Software evolves, hardware depreciates. If your acquisition system is not designed for iteration, you will field yesterday's AI tomorrow. And tomorrow's battlefield will not wait. The human question. This is where debates get emotional. Autonomous lethal systems raise ethical concerns. Human in the loop, human on the loop, human out of the loop. Each level trades speed for control. Each trade-off carries risk. But here's the brutal truth. If your adversary removes humans from the loop, and you keep them inside, you may preserve moral high ground, but you may lose tempo. That is not a philosophical debate. It is strategic calculus. And strategy is unforgiving. We are only halfway through this shift, because the most disruptive effect of autonomy is not physical. It is cognitive. Machines do not panic. Machines do not hesitate. Machines do not fatigue. But they can be spoofed. They can be jammed. They can be corrupted. Which means the next battlefield is not just kinetic. It is algorithmic. And whoever controls the data controls the machines. Autonomy does not just change tactics. It destabilizes escalation. Traditional warfare had friction. Human hesitation, command delays, political pauses. Those pauses created space. Space for diplomacy, space for miscalculation correction, space for signaling. Autonomous systems remove that space. If a swarm crosses a threshold, algorithms may respond before ambassadors do. If detection to engagement collapses into milliseconds, escalation compresses into minutes. And this is what most strategic planners are quietly worried about. Machine speed retaliation reduces human control. Crisis management assumes time. Autonomy erases it. Look at Ukraine. Commercial drones modified for targeting. FPV drones destroying armored vehicles. Loitering munitions hunting artillery. Real-time ISR shared across decentralized units. Battlefield transparency is increasing. Survivability is decreasing. Large formations are easier to detect. Expensive platforms are easier to attribute. Cheap drones are easier to replace. And this is where it gets dangerous. The side that adapts software faster outperforms the side that upgrades hardware slower. Iteration wins, not prestige. Now let's address the uncomfortable comparison. An aircraft carrier is a symbol of power. A sovereign airbase at sea. Layered defenses, integrated air wings. Decades of doctrine. But a carrier is also finite. Finite deck space, finite interceptors, finite missiles, finite reaction speed. Now imagine thousands of autonomous systems. Airborne, surface, subsurface. Coordinated through AI-enabled targeting. Saturation does not require superiority. It requires volume. If defensive systems run out of interceptors before swarm systems run out of drones, economics wins, and autonomy favors economics. This does not mean carriers disappear. It means they become part of a broader network. But the psychological shift matters. Dominance platforms are no longer invulnerable. They are nodes in a swarm ecosystem. Autonomy is data-dependent. Sensors feed algorithms. Algorithms classify targets. Classification drives engagement. Corrupt the data, corrupt the decision. Spoof GPS, inject false signals. Manipulate satellite inputs. Jam networks. Data integrity becomes the center of gravity. And this is what most people miss. The next decisive battle may not be missile exchange. It may be data poisoning. If your autonomous systems misidentify friend as foe, or ignore real threats, tempo becomes chaos. Speed without accuracy is catastrophe. Which means cybersecurity is no longer supporting effort. It is main effort. There is a comforting belief that humans will always dominate decision-making. That intuition beats algorithms. That experience beats code. Sometimes, but not in speed. A human cannot process thousands of sensor inputs per second. A human cannot calculate predictive trajectories at scale in real time. A human cannot outpace distributed machine learning under battlefield pressure. The future contest is not human versus machine. It is integrated systems versus slower systems. If one force fuses human judgment with machine execution, and the other relies on layered bureaucracy, the outcome is predictable. Speed wins. Institutional resistance. Non so. But here is the internal threat. Militaries are conservative institutions. Hierarchy, procedure, clear authority. Autonomy distributes action. It reduces centralized control. It empowers lower echelons. It increases uncertainty. That creates friction. Senior leaders hesitate to relinquish oversight. Legal systems demand accountability. Political leadership fears loss of control. And yet, adversaries may not hesitate. This creates a symmetry not in technology but in willingness. The side willing to operate closer to machine autonomy gains tempo advantage. And tempo is advantage. The Taiwan Strait revisited. Return to the Taiwan scenario. Imagine opening hours dominated by swarm ISR, autonomous targeting nodes degrading air defense radars, undersea drones mapping submarine lanes, AI-enabled cyber intrusion freezing logistics, command networks strained by electronic attack, political leadership receiving fragmented high-speed reports. In that environment, clarity is rare. Decisions must be made quickly. Autonomous systems do not wait for consensus. If one side can reconfigure its algorithmic defenses within hours, and the other requires committee validation, tempo decides the phase. And phase 1 often determines phase 2. Adaptation as survival. Autonomy does not guarantee victory, it guarantees change. The militaries that survive this shift will shorten procurement cycles, treat AI like software, not hardware, institutionalize red teaming against algorithms, integrate cyberspace and electronic warfare fully, accept that perfection is slower than iteration. This is not about robots replacing soldiers. It is about redesigning force architecture. And redesign is painful because it threatens legacy platforms, legacy budgets, legacy prestige. But history does not preserve prestige. It rewards adaptation. Tension reset. Let's strip this down. Autonomy changes 4 things: speed, scale, cost, risk distribution. It reduces human exposure. It increases material exchange. It lowers entry barriers. It compresses escalation windows. But it does not eliminate strategy. Political objectives remain human. Alliance cohesion remains human. Economic endurance remains human. Machines execute, humans decide purpose. The side that fuses both wins. Big insight. Here is the core truth. The rise of autonomous battlefield systems is not about technology. It is about tempo dominance. For centuries, mass determined outcomes. Then firepower determined outcomes. Now speed determines outcomes. Speed of detection, speed of decision, speed of adaptation. The military that learns faster than it fights will dominate. The military that fights faster than it learns will collapse. Autonomy amplifies both strengths and weaknesses. It magnifies competence, it magnifies fragility. It accelerates victory, it accelerates failure. The question is not whether autonomy will shape future war. It already is. The real question is this: when the next conflict begins at machine speed, will your system evolve before it is overwhelmed? Because in the era of autonomous warfare, the side that controls tempo controls survival. And tempo no longer belongs to humans alone.